Oh, welcome back to Sunday Science, everybody. Thanks for putting up with us during our completely unscheduled July hiatus. Wasn't exactly planning on that to happen, but, you know, life does happen, and it sometimes gets in the way of being able to do the fun stuff that you enjoy. So thanks, everybody, for joining us again. It should be hopefully won't have a month-off break out of nowhere without explanation again. But, like I say, sometimes life gets in the way and work gets in the way.
And it's summer. Everybody's busy.
It is summer. People are on vacation, and it's hot, and gardening, and all the fun stuff of summer, so it's not easy some days to go, I'm going to go sit in my basement on a computer.
Indeed. Kind of hard to resist the weather.
It is.
It is lovely outside. It really is.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the weather's been for everybody else, but we finally got over our normal heat streak for July, so we're finally just into 80s here in Colorado, and afternoon rains.
Sunny here.
Yeah.
Yesterday was beautiful. So I had to elbow through throngs of people to get to the Flat Earther yesterday.
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
Indeed.
You can't let a surfer just wander around on your own turf.
Indeed.
Oh, goodness. There was a Flat Earther, at your house? Or?
No. Certainly not. I have an electrified fence to prevent that sort of event. There was one at evangelizing at a local boardwalk in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey, and I got word of it and immediately dropped what I was doing and hopped into the Jeep and headed off, and it was everything I was led to believe. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Did you tell them that flat wasn't a shape? Because that confuses them real easily.
Well,
oh my goodness.
Anyway, that's it was interesting, but let's let's put that just as a distant, fading memory.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how. I just do not think I could have a productive conversation with a flat Earth individual. I do not. I would just probably start with, and this is what I do when I encounter them on the internet. I just essentially say, "Hi, I see you think the Earth is flat. Here's a link to select a psychologist to help you, handle your individual needs. This is from the APA. This is their guide on how to select an appropriate psychologist." This is literally what I do every time, because I'm just like, I don't know what else. I can't help this person in any kind of way. And anything I say, they're going to just say I'm wrong. So I just give them like a pamphlet on how to get, or, my online version of a pamphlet of saying, this is how you can get a psychologist to help you. And then they're like, well, I don't need help. And I'm like, well, yeah, you do.
Yeah, they do. But you're right that there's no talking to them. And, it's a religion. It really is. They argue just like young Earth creationists do. And they use the same book as their guide. And so they argue the exact same way. And it's not evidence-based. It's not based in anything. It's just babble.
Well, this one was listening, though. It was a little bit different. There was the mix of religion and actually various other conspiracy theories and all that sort of thing. But he was actually listening and responding to what I was saying. I'm actually open to a future conversation with him.
Really?
We have communicated.
I've never heard of one like that.
Now, I'm not saying he's going to change camps or anything like that, but just like us, if someone were to provide evidence for this, we'd go, oh, look at that, all these years I've been wrong. I would love to meet someone who's open to, if evidence that you would accept is provided, would you change your views? And it might be one of those. Who knows? Anyway, we shall see. Hope springs eternal. Anyway,
you guys gotta get your nihilism down. You're not doing it right.
All right, Andy, have I hogged enough of your show?
Oh no, this is fine. Banter's always good.
Yes, agreed.
Speaking of the flat earther, situation, it was kind of funny. My not biological brother, I grew up pretty much, from being in diapers to best man at my wedding and so on and so forth. Is basically my brother had his first child a couple of days ago, actually, and so I got him a present. It was Astrophysics for Babies. It's a nice soft plush book, and it starts out with, this is a circle, this is a sphere, this is a star. As soon as his wife opened up the book and she flipped through about 2 or 3 pages and went, oh, thank God you're helping nip the flat earther in the butt. Like, oh my gosh, this has gotten out of control, that these people they're everywhere, and it's just unbelievable.
Remember the good old days when we didn't even know that there was such a thing as a flat earth believing group? Those were good days, were they not?
Yeah.
They were.
I mean, the internet has opened us up to all kinds of awakening our realities.
Well, the internet's a great place to. It's a great place to have all the information at your fingertips, but it's also a great place for stupidity.
Yeah.
And people love stupidity. Ignorance abounds. They I mean, look at it. We put it on television all the time. We give it a platform.
Oh my
goodness.
Well, I think it may not be the moving towards stupidity for the flat Earth thing. I think I've got a bead on why it does seem to have a certain popularity. It's easy to understand. As we know, the universe is under no obligation to be intuitive. It's not. It's just not.
Oh no, you're right. It's easy to understand, but
exactly, and that's why people think that people when told these things, look, it's all been a lie. Look, it's flat. Anything that we can't explain, God did it. That's very easy for people to get a bead on.
But it's so ridiculously simple. It's disgusting. It's just like nobody even tries to think anymore. It's like, do these people even know where their poop goes when they flush?
Right.
It's gotten that bad.
It's sewer crocodiles. Crocodiles have to eat somehow.
Well, wait, wouldn't it actually drop through onto the turtle's back?
Oh, that reminds me.
That just makes me think of the turtle from the Never-Ending Story getting up out of the mud.
Oh.
Okay.
That makes that swamp way more depressing.
I still got to finish my video on demonstrating how seismology doesn't work on a space pizza. At least not the way we observe it. But God, I got so much to do, guys. I don't know if I'm coming or going anymore.
And here we are, sucking up your time.
No, it's worth it. I haven't had the chance to talk to you guys in a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. This is fun.
Except Mel keeps rolling her window down because she's smoking all the cigarettes, throwing them out the window.
What? I'm not.
Please, Mel.
I am in my car and I'm driving, but I don't smoke. Sometimes I wish I did. I was like, man, I could use a cigarette right now if I smoked. Everything's so stressful. But I don't smoke, so.
Well, sometimes
that's how you know things are bad. Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I didn't. Like, when I can't find my lighter, I wish I didn't smoke. That kind of thing. Anyway,
Hey, I've been smoke-free for 7 months now, and I still get cravings, and I have dreams now about smoking, which I never used to when I was
Wow.
Well, congrats on the 7 months. That's pretty good.
That's awesome.
You are
Absolutely, congratulations. Sorry, my dogs just decided to go crazy.
They're celebrating
thanks,
the 7
guys,
months.
Although my waistline does not accept your thanks, though. I've gained like 30 pounds.
Oh, the dogs are happy about the 30 pounds, too.
I don't know what in the world they're going on about.
Stuff and things. They're excited about Science Monday.
Must be.
Exactly.
Apparently, and now they're just going to stop randomly. Okay.
All right, good enough.
Oh, the fun of having German Shepherds.
Let's just not mention cessation of smoking anymore, and they should be calm.
Yeah.
Right? Apparently, even they don't like them
Causation,
smoker.
correlation. We should collect data and see how often that happens, so we can have definitive proof and repeatability.
That's a good idea.
There you go.
All right.
Oh goodness.
Oh, did you guys see my last ISS fail?
I haven't watched that one yet. It popped up in my subscription thing.
Don't bother because I failed again. So I was trying to get a solar one. I might try to get one this weekend, but we have an island we have to walk to, and I have to map it because it's there. So
you're supposed to keep trying till you get one, and then act like that was your first try, and you're just a wizard.
Right?
No, I'm that guy that posts all his fails like an idiot.
Well, that's important too, actually.
It is.
It's actually a very important learning tool, in my opinion, to continuously look at why you didn't succeed at a particular task that you are actively trying, because you just learn so much more, and you look at it every time, and you find something else. I could have done this, or could have done that, or
You mean
I don't know.
You mean it's important to
like that.
You mean it's important to find out why the fire grew so large, Andy?
Well, I know exactly what happened there. I accidentally kicked a bottle of methanol into a homemade blowtorch, and next thing you know, there was copper sulfate burning all over my foot, and it happens.
I hope you broke out the. Did you break out the spectroscope into? I mean, make use of a situation when it arises.
Hey, Andy, what do you use? Oh, sorry, Andy. What do you use as your copper sulfate source? Do you use that pipe cleaner stuff, that sewer cleaner stuff? That's what I use.
I hopped on Amazon and bought it was being sold as a dietary supplement, actually, and it's pure copper sulfate.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it was being sold as a dietary supplement. It was.
That scares me.
Yeah, that's not something that you should be eating.
No.
Are they trying to do like a chelation thing? Because I've seen some woo where people will eat certain metals in order to remove bad juju out of their blood or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's some.
I've seen that. Horrible chemicals out of my body, so I'm going to eat metal to do it.
Well, we do have people that inject bleach into their hindquarters, so it's not surprising.
Yeah.
There is some serious woo out there.
Man.
I've heard of it. That a popular one among the woo folks now is some kind of something to do with silver. I don't colloidal silver, something like that. Anyway, more magic.
Well, silver keeps away vampires and werewolves.
True. Yeah. All right. Good point.
Okay. I read something really. It's kind of cheeky, sorta, but it just. Okay, so there's apparently some kind of thing going around where there's some beauty vloggers who have said that you should rub toothpaste on your chest to make it bigger.
Wow. So it's not cornbread anymore? That was the myth when we were back in high school. It was the girls were talking about eating cornbread. That was it back then. So now it's toothpaste. Interesting.
Rub toothpaste on your chest to make it bigger. I really want you guys to do that for me. and let me know if it works.
My moobs are already getting bigger on their own.
Okay. Well,
and wait, doesn't toothpaste have fluoride in it? I thought fluoride was bad.
That's mind control chemical. That's the mind control chemical they are putting out there. Not to be confused with they who has a YouTube channel who's pretty damn cool. The other they.
That's kind of funny because I grew up on well water and I still believe in science and no woo. I didn't even have fluorinated tap water.
Do you have any stories of like fallen children coming out of the well to attack you through a VCR tape? Because I saw that somewhere on the TV once, and I think that's a thing.
The closest I have to say I ever got to that was when I was maybe 10 years old, and I was riding my bicycle back and forth from the front yard to the backyard. I did fall into a yucca and roll out of the yucca onto a piece of rebar that was next to the well, but the well was just a 6-foot deep hole with a boiler in it and a pump. So,
okay.
I did fall into a yucca and I did fall into a piece of rebar. That was not much fun.
Didn't impale yourself on the rebar, did you?
No, just hopefully not. Side.
We had well water as well when I was see what I did there as well when we were growing up. But if you were going to fall into the well, you'd have to be less than, I think, 2 1/4 inches in diameter, because that was the inside diameter of the well pipe that went down. So
most modern wells are 4-inch diameter casings with 2-inch pipes. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can't get down there in modern wells.
You'd have to be really narrow, and not rub any toothpaste anywhere.
We have lake mediocre water here. Nobody here has wells.
Well, we had the best well water growing up. It was just absolutely nice tasting water straight out of the ground, and it was absolutely perfect. And apparently, someone who had a landfill nearby decided that it was more profitable to pay the fines every year for just dumping just ridiculous chemicals into the ground, and we were compelled to go to city water because our natural water source became not so healthy anymore.
Yeah, landfills construction's gotten better, but you engineer anything underground, eventually it's going to leak. And so you're about my age. Back then, landfills didn't have the linings they have, and that stuff just got right into the groundwater.
Yeah, and they knew what they were doing. They were in.
Oh yeah, remember I work on the regulatory side. I know a lot about people who'd rather pay the fines. They consider it price of doing business rather than conform to the regulations.
Indeed.
Why are people jerks, man? They're just jerks.
I've wondered that for the longest period of time, and then I started getting a little scared because I was meeting so many of them. Because somebody told me that, what was it? If 90% of the people you meet are jerks, maybe you're the jerk. So I started.
I don't know, man. I started getting scared. Logic, I'm a woman on the internet.
So. Oh, that's different. That's not. I mean, in a real world.
Well, women in the real world, it ain't much better walking around outside and then have to wear headphones in the grocery store because people won't stop talking to you.
Really?
God,
I don't talk to anybody in the grocery store. I get my stuff and get out.
Right, every now and then I might have the occasional excuse me.
Oh yeah, that. But,
pardon me, but
man, I really wish you could be a woman for a day. I go to a grocery store and I'll wear giant headphones from the time I leave my car and go shopping, because there will be people that will talk to me, just talk to me, and it's just. So, and it's always dudes. It's never women. It's always dudes. And the other day, I was walking out of my car, had my giant headphones on, and this dude was signaling for me to come toward him where his car was. He's like, "Hey, ma'am, hey, ma'am." And so I just ignored and kept walking. And then he called me He basically used profanity and started calling me all kinds of ugly names. And I was just literally just walking to the grocery store. This is all the time. So I must be a jerk.
You're a total jerk.
Yeah,
you know why? But it's not because of that. How big are your earphones? Because if they're not the late 70s ones, you're not doing it right.
They're giant. They completely cover my ears. And you can see them from space. Probably.
Oh, like the Nephilim-free spaceman headset, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're pretty freaking huge. Yeah.
Right. Jeez, I got to be more careful because every once in a while, just something weird happens, and in my head, and I'm just in some kind of gregarious, just friendly ass mood, and I'll just issue a "Hey, how are you this fine day?" to anyone, male or female, and it didn't occur to me that some of that might be taken as what you described.
It's not that. See, hey, how are you doing is always different than, oh, wow, you have really pretty hair, and it's just some random, it's just.
All right.
Unless you're going like, hey, how are you doing?
So you've been to the New Jersey Shore. How you doing?
How you doing? What's going on?
All right,
it's a lot of food in your cart there. You're gonna. Yeah, I had somebody complain. They came up and they would be like, "You got some TV dinners in there. You don't look like you eat TV dinners."
Huh.
Just really weird, entirely random things.
All right. So
could you do me a favor? I mean, it sucks that happens, but can you write these down for me so the next time I run into a bear in the woods, I can try these on it, maybe get it to just like not cross my path? That's good.
Hey, bear.
God, I mean,
hey, bear, how you doing?
Yeah.
All right. So what you're saying is my infrequent, random, just cheerful greeting, in all probability, has not offended anyone. You're saying. All right,
yes.
that's good.
It hasn't. Just a random hi, how are you today is quite different than you got really nice hair. Hey, come over here, let me talk to you. No.
All right, I will say it has never been that. It has been just that. All right. Well, I see. We're really sciencey today, aren't we?
Oh, super sciencey.
I use technology to ignore people, so maybe that helps. That's very sciencey right there. I do use technology to ignore people, not because I want to be rude, just because there are a lot of creepy people. So.
That is the case. There are a lot of creepy folks, but
there really is.
Anyway, well,
okay.
Well, thanks for joining, everyone.
That has made it awkward.
No, it's fine.
Sorry, Andy, back to you.
So I wasn't sure how many people caught the title yet, but Carbonatite and other fun stuff. Obviously, there's tons of fun stuff on Sunday Science. Whether we talk about science or not is completely up to us, I guess. So I wanted to bring that up because, unfortunately, today is the 5-year anniversary of my father passing away, and being the person who got me into science and, helped bring me into this world. Obviously, my mom did most of the work. He had most of the fun, but, he did a lot of really awesome stuff when I was a kid growing up, and helped me really get into being an avid science enthusiast from a young age. And, a lot of the work that he did while he was with the USGS is stuff that, honestly, I don't understand. I really don't understand a lot of it. He was a PhD in some special form of igneous mineralogy. I did not get that gene from him. I got the looking at the really small when it comes to physics and looking at the really big when it comes to rocks, but my really big turned into planets and astronomy. So just wanted to share a little bit about him because it has been 5 years, and he was an absolutely phenomenal scientist. And there's so many great scientists out there in the world that nobody ever really hears about. They don't get Fields medals. They're not on TV. They don't try and do a mic drop to flat earthers. They just ignore all the idiots and go on with producing quality science for generations to come. And that's pretty much the way my dad was. He was kind of a shut-in to a little extent when it came to working with people in the outside world, but that's something I've noticed with a lot of PhDs that are in government work, and my sister wound up being the same way. She's now also not in geology, but I don't need to publicly dox her, so I'm just going to leave that. But one of the things that my father worked on for the longest time was the Mountain Pass carbonatite and rare earth deposit. And for people that aren't interested in geology and haven't, spent much time taking a look into these things, in southeastern California, there's a general region known as Mountain Pass, and it is the second most rich rare earth deposit on the planet outside of China. And it used to be the United States' answer to any other rare earth mining on the planet. It is, like I say, the second richest light, what's the proper way of saying it, light rare earth element deposit on the planet. And unfortunately, the mine operators and owners decided to let a tour group come in from China, and they, by visual inspection, effectively reverse engineered all of the mining operations, and now China's the world leader in producing light rare earth elements, which you can imagine are incredibly important this day and age for motors, battery technology, so on and so forth. So this was a long-standing project that my father was involved in, and it's just a lot of fun knowing that I was around to do a lot of these things. We'd take summer breaks and summer vacation, and I would head out into the field with them. And I was small and young, and I could fall far and bounce and not get broken. So I learned how to rock climb at a young age, thanks to having a geologist for a dad. Learned how to dive off of a boulder into a crevice real fast in the middle of a lightning storm in a boulder field. But it was just a lot of fun, and I think there's a lot of people in the scientific community that they never look for credit outside of their peers. They don't look for people to know who they are, or look at my work, it's so amazing, or try and get any praise in any way. They just work, and they do. It's phenomenal that there are so many people like that are out there. It's just thought it would be really cool to give them a little bit of a tribute and an homage for, like I say, it's been 5 years, and I miss the guy a hell of a lot. And this time of year comes around, I usually start thinking about all that fun stuff, going to Homestake and the Homestake mine in South Dakota before it closed, and heading down to Arizona to the copper mines, and having a dad that'd be in Brazil, gone for a month at a time while he was in a gold mine there, in a gold mine somewhere else. He obviously worked a lot in igneous mineralogy, so that was his primary field, actually. So I'll see if I can pop a link to some of his stuff if anybody's interested in looking at it. I understand scientific papers can be kind of boring to read. I grew up reading them, so it's...
And do you know I'm going to read every one of those? You know that, right?
I do.
Was he a petrologist, an igneous petrologist?
No, he was in... I have copies of his papers upstairs. He was primarily primarily in igneous mineralogy. I can't remember what the specialty is called necessarily, but primarily he worked with, in rare earth elements and in gold, because, you got to dig up lots of gold. Most of his work was the Southwest and Western United States and through Alaska. Let me see.
Do you ever go back and visit those places when this time of year runs around?
Actually, quite a bit. I do. I'm gonna pop this real quick into our chat, and maybe Sai can add that into
the description.
Yeah, into the description. But yeah, I go back all the time. I always forget the name of the mine, but I'm sure if Brian Stevens were on here, he would absolutely know the mine that I'm talking about. It's the main rhodochrosite mine here in Colorado. I feel like it's bittersweet or something to that extent, but
I can't help you on that one, unfortunately. Yeah, Brian would know. He remembers.
Yeah, I know Brian would know that one, but I always forget. It was. Yeah, I still go back all the time, and we used to go up to Mount Antero and go hunting for aquamarine. It's the best barrel in Colorado. It's just phenomenal up there. And, when we were younger, the mine wasn't actively operating, so we could go up and just sift through tailless piles for days and days looking for stuff.
I love digging through tailless piles. It's so much fun.
It really is. And driving around
do it up with a copper.
Yeah, the copper mines in Arizona were a lot of fun to go to, and I never understood how in the world my dad could pull it off. He'd pull up to a closed down mine, he'd show his Department of the Interior ID, and they'd just go, do whatever you want. Okay, let's go stand in front of this 2,000 foot deep open pit copper mine.
With a kid.
Well, he was US.
Oh yeah, my
US,
dad.
right?
If there's one thing that my dad wasn't, if there's one thing my dad was not, it was safe with me. Like I say, I like to climb trees and I like to climb rocks when I was a kid. So he absolutely, and even like one of the guys that we'd go into the field with a lot, his name was Terry. We'd go up into these boulder fields in the Sawatch range, and they would see they had the geologist eye. They would go, "Oh, we see a fresh outcropping that broke loose from an avalanche. We're not going to risk ourselves. Andy, go up there, grab that." And as I got older and I was going out and rock climbing on my own and getting into mountaineering pretty heavily, I'd sit down at night, chat with my dad before I headed out at 2 in the morning to go climb a 14er and go, okay, this is what I want you to look for because I'm too old to walk up there anymore. Go get me stuff.
What am I going to do when I get too old? I don't have kids.
I don't know.
Are the cats willing to learn?
No, they're cats.
Well,
Andy, Andy, it sounds like when you were a little fella, what you thought of as just having a really fun time was actually your dad teaching you how to look at the world. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yes, I would say that that's very accurate.
Yeah, same here. I didn't know that I was learning how to look at the world, how to be curious about things, how to question what makes this go, what's inside. I didn't know any of that was actually happening when I was a child. I just thought I was having a good time. And exactly as you described, I mean, that's what made us think in the way that we do now. So, understand.
Exactly. And it was a lot of fun for me when I was a kid. And I try helping out other kiddos as some of the people here in the chat know, but maybe not everyone else. Even just recently, it was 2 Fridays ago, I made a makeshift planetarium for early childhood education center at the school that I decided to go back to. I don't
That's
know why I
awesome.
decided to go back, but I'm just taking random mathematics classes, getting back into calculus, and hopefully increasing my knowledge and skill set in the world of mathematics, because it's been a long time since I've been in school. But
Ooh,
yeah,
sorry.
Good job.
built a mock planetarium, and my phone has actually it's a projector and a phone, so I was able to use Star Walk, the phone app, so that I could actually project the sky for the kids. And it was for 2 to 4 year old kids, so they had to move fast, had to keep things flashy, had to lots of noise, lots of stuff. But that's the kind of thing that my dad would do. I still remember him bringing microscopes and rocks into my elementary school and trying to teach kids, and I guess I got that part of the genes from him.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
If you ever need tips, I actually used to teach preschool, like in another lifetime. But I had like the really little ones, like the 1 to 2 year olds. But by the time they left my class, though, they knew constellations. They could talk about it. They knew all their colors. They could count. And I would have parents that would sit there and they would go, I kind of thought this was a bit too advanced for my kid. I'm like, they are sponges until about the age of 3. By the time they get to 3, then their brain is fully developed for childhood at that point. But prior to that, whatever you put in their minds, man, they just suck it up. And so
they really do.
They really do. And so they were able to talk, not necessarily, some of them weren't highly vocal, but they could point to things and you could interact with them with, some of them would use different types of sign language to communicate with you. If you just pay attention, you can introduce so much stuff to a kid
absolutely.
from 1 to 3 years old. It's just amazing. So
yeah, it will never cease to amaze me how much they just absorb by observation.
And the speed with which kids in that age range acquire new knowledge is rather frightening as well. Would that I could still do that. That would be...
Their brains
it gets
they're
hard as we get
wiring
older.
up, man. They're literally developing the connections that they need in order to, get through and start like early thinking. I mean, to me, they're like the purest form of scientists to a degree, because they're observing, they're trying out things. I used to teach the scientific method as like if it were a baby. You see, you're like, what is that? And they point to it and they're like, what is this thing here? And the question is it food? Then the experiment, I'm going to put it in my mouth. And then they put it in their mouth. And then it's either food or it's not. And so if it's not food, they'll take it out and they'll be like, oh, yeah, it's like a Lego or a ball or something. And so what do? They're like, this isn't food. Then they give it to their friend, and then that's peer review. And then their friend puts it in their mouth and like, no, this is indeed not a candy bar. It is a freaking Lego. It goes over there. And then it just makes it around the class. And then everybody has agreed that this is not a food item after they've put it in their mouth. I mean, that's just like the perfect example of the scientific method. And we all perform it when we're babies.
We do. And I wish more of us would continue to perform it, not necessarily in the stick it in your mouth way, but as adults, I do wish more of us would take the time to sit down and, okay, I witnessed this is taking place. What could cause that? It's especially in the workplace, it gets so tiresome sometimes to have the, I work with a lot of people who their field of trade school or associate's degree, or even a lot of them their bachelor's, they wind up being applied science individuals and working with their hands. I'm not going to say that there's anything wrong with that. I did it for 18 years before I finished out getting a degree. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a craftsman, and I still build a lot of stuff, obviously, with my bare hands. I love it. I'll never give it up. But some of the people that you work with, they'll come to you and, well, I don't understand. Why is there a burr on this? Going, you're cutting metal with a dull tool. There's a burr. You're a machinist. How do you not know this yet? How do you not sit down and go, I wonder why there's a burr and what can I do to resolve the issue of the burr existing?
Nice that you mentioned that, Andy. The person I referred to, the dad, who I maintain to this day, is the one that taught me to think logically and analytically, and taught me a hell of a lot about math and the sciences, was in fact a machinist for his entire life by trade. So, thanks for mentioning that. So,
hey, you know, the 21st century the 20th century never would have existed the way it did, and 21st definitely would not without machinists. And I worked as a machinist for 18 years. I went to school for industrial design engineering and precision machining. I went through a full... What in the world's my computer bleeping at? I went through a full apprenticeship, and I mean, I still have some decent skills when it comes to running machines. I do have to do them quite a bit, and you know, I do a lot of CNC programming. I do a lot of things like that outside of manufacturing engineering. But this century and the one prior would not be what they are without machinists.
Indeed, back when we used to actually make something in this country. Remember that?
Well, we used to produce. We don't make a lot of consumer stuff, but we do still make a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, yes.
Well, there's some things you have to make here. You know, like you can't build a road in China and ship it over. It's got to be built here.
that is true.
It's just and there's a lot of industrial automation that there's a lot of things behind the curtain that you don't see that is made here, and that tech doesn't exist elsewhere. There's only American companies that build it, and it's consumer products people consider to be too expensive to make here. So when your run-of-the-mill stuff, you go and buy a computer, and none of it's made in America anymore. You buy a TV, none of it's made in America. Radio components, none of them are made in America. But everything when it comes to shipping, logistics, aerospace, there's an immense amount of stuff made in the United States that you just don't think about because you don't see it.
Yeah. Well, we still got steel going over here pretty good. I know the U.S. isn't the biggest steel maker as it used to be, but it's still thriving here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I brought up the work that my dad did at Mountain Pass and the carbonatites, and a lot of that rare earth mining inevitably will come back. It's America stole industry from Europe, and other countries are going to steal it from us. It's a cyclical thing. It's not because of individuals.
Here's the thing with ore bodies too. The thing with ore bodies is the earth isn't making anymore. So if somebody overseas taps all their economic ore, then it's got to come from somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
So
Brazil was one of the largest producers of gold in the 16th century, 17th century, around then. And their gold mines operate off and on here and there when they can, but other countries had easier access, and a lot of the same things happened in the copper industry. We, like I was saying earlier, with all the copper mines in Arizona, it used to be a tremendous booming industry for Arizona, and there's not a shortage of copper, but it's just got to the point where the extraction methods and the technologies available make it unprofitable. So it goes to another.
But Andy, I'm still gonna sit there and say, the UP is copper country, and it always will be.
Yeah, I've not actually been out.
You should.
I mean, as far as anywhere in the Great Lakes, I've been to Indianapolis when I was in marching band for marching band stuff, and to Dayton, Ohio. I never want to go back.
Well, you went to the two crappiest places imaginable. But
that's where all of the marching band competitions were. So.
But you
well,
know,
I
my
have to
cabin.
hop off of here. I have to hop off of here, but I want to say thanks for having me on, guys. It's a lot of fun. And
thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
It's always a pleasure having you,
Andy.
Thanks.
Think about you and your dad. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night.
All right, everybody go to Mel's channel and subscribe, by the way.
Yeah, you're fired.
And you know, you guys mentioned that different, uncontrollable things that you know, hurt manufacturing in a specific country, and other things that are more like a competition that affect manufacturing in a certain country, like other people doing it better and cheaper or whatever. There's another element that I think hit us in the United States even more, which is the lure of the service economy, because it's more profitable. Think about it. You can sell things that don't exist. Think about life insurance. It doesn't exist. It's not. You're selling a promise, and until
health insurance.
It's that the whole. Let's trade stocks. Let's trade bonds. Let's do this. Let's make up product that. And finally, there's cryptocurrency, which is a perfect metaphor for the stock market. Its value is completely imaginary. And that lure, it's more profitable for investors in the short term to go, hell, let's do this service stuff. Let's sell stuff that doesn't exist.
And you're right. But if we don't stop doing that, you know, you're gonna either revert back to feudalism at some point, or we're never going to get off this planet.
Yes,
it's just worried about the short term.
Yep, that's why I mentioned short term. It's a very profitable short term solution to having a. But then again, most people do think, and I don't think I'm being unfair in saying that. Most people do think short term, and certainly most people don't think beyond their own lifetime.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right about that.
So that's and I think that's the whole lure of the service economy thing. That's what's kind of gotten a lot of manufacturing just don't do it anymore. Anyway, all right.
Indeed, I think that's part of the reason we do still have the amount of industrial manufacturing and, you know, other sectors, and especially in aerospace and scientific equipment. At least in Colorado, I don't know about how the rest of the states are doing, but you know, Colorado is a huge aerospace state, huge scientific development state. I mean, you might as well consider the University of Colorado at Boulder an Ivy League school at this point in time. It would have cost more to go there than it would have to go to Harvard. But you know, you have like a 90% chance of going to work at NASA if you get there, or Lockheed. So it's.
Hey, that's great. I mean, you know,
it's ridiculous. That school isn't, not in my opinion, but it does create a large amount of scientific research and a large amount of production that happens. You know, there's, you know, earlier on when I was doing, you know, actively being a machinist, it was, okay, you're going to make this part for the Phoenix. Okay, you're going to make these. You know, you're going to make these servo motor housings for Curiosity, or here's this thing for the Air Force. Oh, wait, you weren't supposed to know it was the Air Force. You know, it makes a lot of fun stuff to make.
Andy,
but
I have a couple of questions. In all those years of you making stuff, were you ever involved in the Stargate program? Did you ever work on the DHDs, or, you know?
No. Most of that was done down in Colorado Springs. I stuck to the old tech.
Oh, okay. You know, there is something to be said about making something with your hands, though. You know, even if it's for somebody else and it's not, you know, it's a lot more fulfilling and satisfying to make something than it is just to
look at papers and go, oh yeah, I'm going to make a lot of money because I'm going to sell this invisible thing that doesn't exist.
Right. I agree completely. I mean, I don't know. I always liked making stuff. I liked playing with Duplo box as a baby. I liked playing with Legos as a small child. I still build Legos all the time, actually. You got to keep that kid at heart in check sometimes and just go get a good Lego set, as long as it's Technics.
Indeed, that's and if you think about it, there's the love of making things so much. Even when folks aren't paying us, we're building things.
Oh yeah, you guys are notorious for
that. Speaking of which, Andy, I'm curious, how has the radio telescope shaped up over there?
I ran into a snafu with my LNP. I wound up having to get a bias T in order to power it.
Mm-hmm.
And doing more research into the particular LNB that I have on that dish, I need a very, very tight voltage range to continue to keep it functional. I don't want to let the smoke out of this one.
Very important.
So I've been looking for a variable voltage power supply. I'm thinking about just getting a scope, an oscilloscope, and finally just saying, all right, I need this thing. I tinker with electronics enough at this point. I should buy one.
It's a handy thing to have.
It sounds like it, because I think I have something like 14 and a quarter to 15 and a quarter volts that I can play with to make it function properly. And normally that would come from, an internal satellite TV receiver. I don't have anything of that sort, and the ones that I found, somebody's old Dish Network one, they're not running the same voltages. So the last thing I want to do is let the smoke out of another piece of electronics in the middle of a build.
Well, if you do, make sure you video it, because
I will.
You know how much everybody loved that.
Oh, of course. Who doesn't like seeing someone blow up their electronics?
That's yeah.
Everyone loves that.
I wish I had the camera running when the capacitors decided that they had. Well, I'll just use your terminology. When the smoke escaped. When the that was entertaining. There was a bit of flame too. Yeah, didn't catch that.
Oh, nice.
Indeed. Well, it's not like I didn't know it was going to happen. There was the same cap. Remember we bought those capacitors, the 10 kilovolt ones. Yeah, I kind of figured that running them, just because the capacitance I needed with what I had on hand, I had to go with just running them in parallel to make the coil resonant, which means that its maximum recommended healthy voltage was 10 kilovolts, not 28.
So you crossed the stream.
In fact, yes. Gozer came and said howdy.
Nice.
And then he was elected president. Anyway, oh
man.
Anyway,
but yeah, I think it's time. I need to buy a decent, worthwhile scope and have the ability to control that voltage output where it needs to be, and then I should be up and running. Other than that, things have been, I've been tinkering with the software, learning a lot on that end, and still have no idea how I'm going to turn radio signal into a visual image, but I'm hoping from one of the, few episodes back, some of the stuff that I got while I was at the VLA in New Mexico will hopefully help be able to move towards getting a visual image as opposed to just radio signal. But I have to get worthwhile radio signal first. Indeed.
I've got some good graphing stuff that'll turn it into a linear thing. But remember, our original dream was to take nothing is good enough as it is. The original dream we had was and I admit it is exciting when I had the dish pointed at the lawn and then pointed up at the sun, and there was I could see the voltage spikes, And then when I came back down, dropped down to nothing. So, I mean, yes, that is exciting too. And just at that level, it is a functional radio telescope. You can
Oh, absolutely.
You can just have it pointed at an area of the sky, let the Earth turn, and as things go past in that line, you'll see the spikes. Just that is great. But if you remember, our original dream was for me in conjunction with some other folks and you and to come up to write some software that'll turn it into a two-dimensional image instead of just a spike, so we can do a radio map of the sky and then hopefully overlay that on an actual star map. But that's a bit off in the future. But
yeah, that's the software development side is definitely going to take a lot more work.
That's one hell of a goal, though, and I think it's a damn good one.
It includes everything: building stuff, wiring, electricity, a little bit of fire, programming.
Yep. Right?
Yep, fire.
Andy, I took your advice with the base. Although the old tripod did work well and was good for pointing and all that, I went out and got a from good old Harbor Freight, one of the other science sources in the area. That and Home Depot got a pipe bending rig, which with the big heavy tripod with that massive iron top, and that's the new base. So there'll be no wiggling, toppling over, anything of that sort.
Nice,
but,
very cool.
Anyway, alrighty then. I was just because we haven't talked about it in a while, but all right. So maybe by the end of summer, we'll be set to do some observations from 2 separate points, and anybody else who's been building along.
Absolutely,
that would be awesome. I'm just going to watch you guys.
Okay.
To do. Oh, sorry, did I tell you I did go to Harbor Freight and got that cheap metal detector you told me to get? Did I tell you I did that?
And so just tell me, did it actually work out for the intended purposes? That's what I really want to hear.
Well, I'm slowly going over my property up there. I got one hit near the cabin. It's deeper than 8 inches. And, that thing doesn't tell you how deep it is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's roots in the way. So I got to get the chainsaw first.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something under there. So.
Okay.
Nice.
So you didn't read Stephen King's Tommyknocker, did you?
I've never read it, but I know.
Okay, good. Just okay, good. read that book, you'll stop digging. Anyway.
Must find all the copper. Must find it.
Alrighty. Well, wow, Andy, that was an hour already. What the hell?
Yeah, that was an hour already. That went pretty quick.
Seems like we just started talking.
Yeah, right. Well, we did. We're old, so time moves faster.
That may be it. That may be it.
I don't like thinking that way. I suppose sometimes you just have to accept the truth for what it is, though.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't see any reason for
that. Deny it.
No. You don't even need to. You don't need to deny if you just ignore.
That is true.
Indeed. Well.
Alrighty. Well, I don't think I have a whole lot more for today.
I just want to say, Andy, I can't wait to read your dad's articles. His name was Ed, right? Edward?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I had to duck out for a couple minutes, so I missed when you guys started talking about him.
Oh, no worries.
So, yeah, I'll definitely read anything you link to or I can find, and then I'll let you know how it was.
Yeah, of course, the link I gave is ResearchGate, so, they always want you to sign up for some reason, but all of his publications are, well, almost all of them are through the USGS. You can find them free.
I'll do a search for him on USGS and see, because I haven't run across his name with the stuff that I've done, but your dad didn't work in the same area or do what I, look at. So it's not surprising I haven't seen his name. But Do you mind if I make a couple shameless plugs?
Oh, go for it.
I don't know if you guys have been watching out there, but we went to Glacier National Park. I've posted 2 geo videos. I got a third one coming. This weekend, we're going to walk to an island in Lake Superior. Going to map it, do some video. That'll probably be out in a couple weeks. But probably the coolest thing is me and they are working together. We're going to do some debunking of some stupid claim about a massive tree, supposed 13-kilometer wide tree stump that some guy thinks is in Madagascar.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be glorious.
I would imagine.
Very nice.
Hopefully that'll be either this week or next week. So.
I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Oh yeah. Gonna be keeping an eye out for that for sure.
So
it'll probably be on his channel. It won't be on mine.
Do mirroring.
Yeah, you can always mirror it.
That's like high-tech technical computer stuff and stuff.
well, we
but it doesn't involve fire and rocks. I don't know how to do it.
Well, both Andy and I do stuff and things. So if you want to mirror it, I'd be happy to tell you just how to do that. So anyway,
and I know mirror is code for download, right?
Download and re-upload to one's own channel. If you say mirror,
okay.
it sounds less like piracy. If you say mirror,
yep.
But if it's your own stuff, it's not really piracy.
Exactly. But you can still say like "r" if you want. But you're right; it doesn't really apply. Somebody needs a nap. Okay.
Oh man.
And any other plugs? Anything else coming up we should know about?
Oh, Andy, your Cavendish experiment. You did that, right? That was you, right?
Oh yeah, that's me.
More than once he did.
Yeah, I've done it twice. Uploaded it to I uploaded it on G+. I can't remember if I put it on YouTube or not, but
I don't think I saw it. Plus, I've also been out of the loop. I've been out of the loop too.
I might have put it there. I can see it. I might have put it on the Backyard Science channel. I forgot how to log into that one. I lost my password and forgot it, and just kind of gave up. But it might be somewhere around. If not, I want to get another one going, or another series on the video going, and just a little bit more in-depth explanation instead of just the time-lapse video and things of that nature.
I'm glad you guys brought up the Cavendish that Andy did. So that was what? Was it twice or 3 times that you reproduced the experiment that has never been reproduced?
I have personally reproduced the unreproducible experiment twice now.
Twice, that's okay. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad you guys
twice with household objects.
Indeed.
I mean, as long as you have a couple of 16-pound bowling balls and some fishing weights.
And you just need to go to Flat Earth sites and just start dropping that video, because they all sit there and say no one can reproduce it.
They'll still say it, even while watching it.
At one point in time, I was told that it did wind up on what's Germanism's side one that he does with all the morons? The
Idiot Hour? Idiot for Us? Something like that.
Something that the Globe is, whatever. One of those.
Globebuster.
Globebuster.
There you go.
So
that's it.
I heard from someone a while ago that somehow they got a copy of it, and that they were trying to debunk it and saying I didn't put enough video into it. I don't really care what those guys have to say, though.
Why debunk it? Build it. Then you can
build it.
Exactly.
Then there's no reason to. That is their mentality over there. There still is no positive evidence for what they claim. It's all, look, this doesn't work. Therefore, flat Earth. Look,
99% of the time it has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth at all.
Indeed, but it's all things that don't really I mean, even if heliocentrism, spherical Earth, all that, even if all that were completely untrue, that doesn't make flat Earth true. And that's what they're not getting. Just come up with some evidence. All of us, we'd accept just evidence. That's all they're asking for.
Yeah,
but
it's the shape of the gaps, as I call it. Like God of the gaps.
Indeed.
But it's not really gaps. It's just misunderstanding of anything beyond a second grade level.
Indeed. But anyway, I'm glad you guys brought up the Cavendish experiment, because building on that, I have something that's completely unrelated to a Cavendish experiment, but it was something I thought Andy might be interested in as well, since we like building stuff and stuff that does stuff, and even as an added bonus, stuff with motors.
Stuff with motors is even better.
I knew you'd love it. I was just driving and was thinking about I was thinking maybe bicycle wheel, something round like that, suspended in a frame, in a windless basement, that kind of thing, spun up to some insane speed, constantly driven, and let's video it moving as the Earth turns. That little homemade big ass gyroscope. You know what? Maybe mount the laser on it and a chart on the wall so you could see, like you did with the Cavendish. So right. We can track its movement, because that's another thing. Gyroscopes never move. Bullshit. That's a lie. But I was thinking
that would be great.
That'd be kind of cool. Bicycle wheel. Maybe get I'm thinking a little more mass. Like get a bunch of those. Stick-on lead weights around the inside to give it a little more mass, so that it's it's a little more effective as a gyroscope. But it shouldn't be tough to. I mean, hell, you could make a thing out of wood, really, the frame, and then suspended by wire to some of those little fishing swivels at the top, and then a weight hanging from the bottom to keep it straight, and that would be ideal. So anyway, just an idea. One more nail in the already dead flat Earth movement thing.
I have a useless bike that I'd be willing to send to you if you do that. My fat ass isn't getting on that bike.
I was going to say, they can be ridden as well as making gyroscopes.
What?
You can also ride them.
That's strange. How would you do that?
That's crazy talk. Well, first, I'll tell you, here's how you do it. First, you got to get a really small gasoline engine. Then...
Ooh, gasoline. Okay.
All right. Now we're good. All right. Anyway, that was. I'm glad you guys brought up Cavendish, because I thought this would be an interesting, really simple experiment that if the flat earthers catch sight of that, that's something they can try and say, look, it didn't work, when it will. Anyway. Factard says I should use a wheel from a Fat Boy, which is a Harley Davidson motorcycle.
I wish I could see the chat right now.
That was anyway. All right, so that's there's something else for us to keep in mind that maybe we want to build for. You know what? That's a good one for the simple science for the kids to.
Right.
I got to see if I can come up with a way to make it easy enough to where there's no machining, no cutting of metals, nothing of that sort. Right. All right, I'll work on that too.
Show the kids how to use a blowtorch. It'll be fine.
Yeah, well, blowtorch, sure, it's a lathe. That's what worries me. Those little spirals of metal will climb up your finger and remove everything but bone. So that's what I don't want them to have to do.
Yeah, it puts hair on your chest.
Don't ask me how I know this.
I wasn't going to. I was picturing it.
Okay. Yeah, and stay away from the grinder too. Anyway.
Nice.
All right. Well, that was just an idea that I had, and I'm glad you approve.
Oh, that'd be a fun one to build.
All right. Anything else? Anybody?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
All right.
I think that's all I got for now. I sadly have to actually go do more work.
Oh.
It just doesn't stop.
Stop it, Andy. Stop.
I want to.
All right. Well, it's good to be back on Sunday-ish science, isn't it?
It's close.
Yes, it is. That was unexpected hiatus, but it is nice to be back.
Indeed. And I'm sure we will have some stuff and things in upcoming weeks.
Stuff and things is
Absolutely.
good.
Indeed.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for Sunday Science Never on Sunday. And look forward to seeing you all next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good one.